Hey pupils, this is Sharmila Kaushik, and if you're watching this, you are the learning kind. This is brought to you by Perpetual Pupil, experts at learning and development, currently focused on bringing new perspectives to education. We have a very exciting guest today, Mrs. Veni Sukumar, who is a teacher, trainer, author, translator, transcriber, and many other things that we're excited to find out about. With over 3 decades of experience in the field of teaching, she has also translated multiple books from Indian languages into English. She has also created multiple textbooks for Karnataka Education Board, KRIA, and also Samsud Group of Schools. We're very excited to learn more insights into the field of teaching and the learning of languages with her. So it's so nice to have you today. How was your travel here?
I stay very close by, so it was not a travel at all. Okay. Considering Bangalore traffic, I just popped in.
Nice. So we were just talking about the Gen Z and Gen Alpha language lingo. How familiar are you?
Of it very recently by my niece, because I think I shared it with others also about my misconception about goat. So Virat Kohli is called goat, and I thought it is because of his goatee that he has. Which my niece, who belongs to the Gen Z generation, she said, no, that's called goat, greatest of all kinds. And then she gave me a lot of words. I said, you're the latest generation. And she said, no, Gen Alpha is the next generation. So I looked up and
all the different
generations, and I know now that I am Gen X.
Yeah. Well, one of the best generations, I would say.
I know, we have seen the transition. We have seen from being non-technical people to technical people. We have seen that. We have seen that.
True. You've seen the. I think you've seen 3 generations of technology users. Yes. Languages change.
We have seen. I mean, initially when we all were sent for computer training, we couldn't even hold the mouse. It was literally a mouse running away from us, and we had to manage how to control that mouse. From there, we've come now. We go through ChatGPT to create things now.
Wow.
We've reached that.
I didn't know that. So I assumed everybody would have had computer classes in school.
We were teachers already at that time. No? So to teach children, we had to go and learn computers. So all the schools sent us to learn the basic computer skills of Word, because we had to make the report cards. No?
Oh, okay.
Using Excel. So we learned that way. So we've seen how technology came and how the phones came, then the smartphones. So we actually, as you said, we are the coolest generation. I would say. We have learned everything.
I agree. My language comes from your generation. I have no idea of the Gen Z language. But are those you mentioned that you had to go for the trainings for the computer? Are those a regular thing as technology gets updated? You have newer trainings?
Yes, we should. We have to keep updated. See, the training that we went were basic, COBOL, those languages we were taught, which is not there anymore.
Yeah.
So now it's, I think, Python,
Java,
Python, and probably in future you'll get a crocodile, alligator, and all. We'll have to do all that. So I have no idea. I mean, we have to go with the technology.
True.
We have to, if we have to be relevant, we have to go along with the time.
Yeah, my parents were very shocked when I went to a new school for 11th and 12th. And they said she needs a laptop. I said, for school. She needs to bring a laptop to school. I don't think I've written by hand since my 10th grade. So now if I have to write examinations by hand, it takes me much longer. So
there's also an argument whether we need to write.
Yeah.
But that I'm an old school thought. I will still say that you should write.
Okay.
You can type. You can do, but creative writing, only if you write by hand, you will be able to, your thoughts will flow faster. When you're typing, your thoughts would have gone in 2 directions. Yeah. 1, you will be thinking, and 2, you will be checking where to type. So you will not be able to concentrate completely.
Have you noticed any changes apart from, of course, language in your teaching or in the classroom after mobile phones and social media became a...
See, our generation says the language has gone bad. But I would say that each generation has a different set of way of speaking. Now, what is language? Language is just a mode of expression. Now, when I did literature, we were told that Chaucer is the father of English literature. Now, if I have to read Chaucer, I need a translation. Canterbury Tales. We cannot understand that English. And when Shakespeare came, he was called an upstart crow because he started writing in normal language. That language itself is difficult now to understand.
True.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So, what is correct language?
True.
The language that is relevant for that age is the correct language. So, if this Gen Alpha is able to understand all those words that they are using, then that's their language. You have to accept it.
Do you think it still has a barrier between the other generations that are also in the market today, who also have to use the similar language to communicate with the alpha?
No, see, when it comes to these Gen Alpha, they know very well. They are very savvy. See, they are the children of millennials. Millennials are already tech savvy. So by the time these children were born, they were born with technology.
True.
So right from their childhood, I've heard that some of the pre-primary schools use tabs to teach. Children are asked to use tabs in pre-primary. So they are in that generation.
Correct.
So, and the people who will be, the adults who will be interacting with them most commonly would be the millennials. So, almost the language will be more or less the same. They'll be able to understand. It will be only the generation before, the grandparents and the great-grandparents, who might struggle.
Have you noticed in the workplace maybe that, emails are different? Now they'll say cheers, bye at the end of the email.
Yes, they do. And they say that, you don't have to address somebody very formally. You can be as informal as possible. Age doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So all that changes. You have to accept. You can't say that, hey, I'm 50 years older than you. Better use Mr. or ma'am. You can't ask that.
Yeah,
you have to agree with that.
A difficult adjustment I also had to make. I grew up I studied in a school that didn't practice ma'am. So we used to call by name usually. And it was very difficult for me to adjust to saying ma'am, and the name would come out and they'd get offended. So do you think there's a lot of context that is required in order for us to get in touch with a language or a lingo?
I don't think so, because see, when you look at language, there are two forms of language. One is spoken communication, communicative language, and the other one is written communication. So when you are speaking, as long as you are able to convey your thoughts to the other person, then that language should be fine. But then when you're going for an interview, when you're sitting in a formal setting, you have to mindfully and consciously speak in a way that you don't offend the sensibilities of the others. So that doesn't mean that you have to become overly polite or anything. But the thing is, you can't say hey and talk to that person, who's much senior to you. You should be mindful of with whom you're talking and in what setting. Yeah.
Actually, I think what I've always wanted to ask teachers, or specifically literature professors, yes, because I am a student of literature and I've been in love with language and literature and social contexts of language since the time I was in school. One thing which I've always tried to ask is, when you conduct assessments for a language, for a skill in something which is so abstract, what are you assessing for, and how do you come to the point to decide, okay, these skills or these kind of grasps on concepts is what is necessary for me to say that a student is good at English or good at literature?
See, first of all, we should understand that English should not be clubbed along with the other subjects like math, science, and all. Math, science requires a way of teaching differently, but language is a way of life.
Yeah,
it's a mode of communication. So the moment a child is born, the language learning starts happening.
Yeah.
So listening, speaking, reading, writing, those skills are all taught. Listening and speaking comes naturally to the child when the child keeps listening to the parents first and then to the surrounding people. Then when it comes to the school, so you have to think that, okay, if I'm teaching a particular language, what is the simplest form I should start with? So if I start teaching language like a subject, say that, okay, today I'm going to teach you nouns.
Yeah.
And then start with the definition, go on without the child understanding what a noun is.
Correct.
Instead, start with the examples. make the children do an activity where which they understand the nouns even before they know the definition.
Mhm.
So when we were children, we were taught the definitions first and then we were taught
Yeah.
to identify. But it is not so now. Now, through activity, we teach them. If I have to teach modals to grade 10, I won't go and say that what are modals and all. I would converse with them the whole period using modals.
Okay.
I would use the same, I would use a lot of modals and
Interesting.
have a conversation with them. And at the end of the period, I said, you've learned modals today. So that's how we need to teach a language. And then we don't have to use high flown vocabulary to prove that we know the language.
Okay.
As long as whatever you communicate is understood by the opposite person, you're correct. Okay, basic mistakes you should not commit. So as simple as possible and as clear as possible, you should communicate. So as a language teacher, if I'm checking a creative writing, I would look for creativity. But if I'm checking grammar, I would see whether the child knows the grammar.
Right.
Isn't it? And if I'm checking the spoken English, I would see whether the child is using the correct structure, whether the child is able to speak without making mistakes. Then I would check for the pronunciation. I would check for the intonation.
You have usually taught the high school.
Yes,
level.
I have taught from grade 6 upwards till 12. I have taught.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So, in the high school level, what do you usually expect children to know or be able to grasp easily in language? What are the concepts? Comprehension, being able to recreate what they read from a lesson, memory retention. What is it that you say is the skill which you're assessing at a high school level in language?
See, there is every skill what the child has learned. It only compounds. It only becomes more and more.
Yeah.
So if you're in grade 6, you will be assessing the same things at the grade 6 level. If you're assessing grade 12, the same LSRW
Okay.
you'll be assessing at grade 12 level.
Okay.
So at grade 12, we expect that they would have learned something more. They will be able to, suppose if grade 6, you have direct comprehension passage where you have a story and they have to answer the questions. Whereas in grade 12, you might give them an abstract idea, abstract thought as a comprehension and check whether they are able to understand what the author or the writer has implied, which is not directly seen by the, it's just not seen.
Yeah, it's not, yeah.
So that is what, only the severity or the thing increases.
The level
Language,
increases.
we will only assess listening, speaking, reading and writing.
Oh. How are you able to deliver corrections or say that there has been an error or deal with mistakes that are being made repetitively in a way that it doesn't affect the morale?
See, it's the same way how we learn everything. Suppose we are learning something new. If somebody keeps telling us, no, that's not the way, this is not the way, you don't do this way, we'll never learn it.
Okay.
So it's the same with the language also. We should not be correcting the student when the student makes a mistake at that point itself. Allow the student to complete his thought. And then you repeat it in the correct form and see whether the student has been able to understand that he made a mistake. See, you should not make it obvious for the child that he gets intimidated and not use the language at all. See, when it comes to our mother tongues, do we even think twice before we speak? We may commit so many mistakes while speaking.
Yeah.
But we don't bother at all. Why should we be scared when we are speaking English? Is it because it's not our language? It's also one of the languages like our mother tongues.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So if we can make mistakes in our mother tongues, why not in English? We learn from mistakes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we will not correct at that moment. We should actually wait for the child to answer and then probably, maybe ask some other child. The child will also give the same answer. If the child has given it correctly, this child implicitly understands that, okay, I made this mistake, henceforth I will not. Suppose you say you're wrong, the child will never speak again.
Okay.
So we should never cut the children when they're making a mistake. It has to be a very positive reinforcement.
Positive reinforcement. That's very interesting. Do you think that that's how it has been practiced in classrooms, or has it changed?
To be practiced in that way. I have always been doing that.
Okay.
I'm sure many of the teachers do that. That's the right way of doing it.
Was it
because the child is with us the whole day.
Yeah.
And what we say, and when they are in primary, what I've seen my son at the primary classes, he would come back and say his teacher is right. So for them, the teachers, they keep them on pedestal.
Correct.
So we should not behave in such a way that we fall off that pedestal,
True.
isn't
Yeah.
it? So there is a way of talking to that child. We will have to correct it. At the same time, we
Hmm.
have to correct. We can't allow the child to speak wrongly and then later on say that you were wrong.
Yeah.
But then we have to do it in a positive manner, in a very
Subtle,
non-threatening manner.
non-threatening way. Yeah. Was that how it was when you were in school?
Yeah, I had very good set of teachers.
Oh.
I had wonderful teachers. That is why I chose this profession, because I really admire all my teachers who had the patience to teach us. And we were a small group of children in the class, so each teacher knew us one on one. So I always look up to them as my role models when I'm a teacher, because that's how we grew up, in a very non-threatening way. Maybe because I grew up in a very small town,
Mm-hmm.
so we never had this fear of competition or something like that. We all grew up very happily.
Yeah.
And that happiness was because of our teachers, who didn't make it very threatening for us. Of course, the subjects were tough, but then we were taught in a very nice manner.
That's so nice. That's so nice to hear.
So and that is what I have followed throughout. I've seen to it that my class is a non-threatening class.
That's so nice. I did actually hear exactly that from everyone I've heard about you from, that you're so compassionate. So you think compassion plays a role in teaching also?
I would say more than compassion, understanding.
Hmm.
You should, as a teacher, when I go to a particular class, within first 2 months, I need to know every child in and out. Then I will know how I have to deal with each child. Some children require coddling, some children require a firm hand, some children you can just, be a friend with. Be friendly.
Yeah.
So if you know, then there is that bar between the teacher, that kind of inhibition bar between the teacher and the student goes away, and they'll feel very comfortable. And when you maybe see, you can't all the time coddle them, you have to reprimand them sometime.
Yeah.
When you do that also, they will not take it offensive. They'll know that, okay, she's doing it for my good.
Correct. Yeah.
Once the child also gets to know you very well. So what I do is, when I go to the class first time, I ask them, have I come to your class before? And if they say no, so I tell them, oh, so I'm the new devil to you. So the moment they say, oh, she's a very cool person, and they don't mind later on, when you tell them that's not the right way to do or something.
Nice.
So
have you seen that maybe the student-teacher relationships have changed over a period of time? Or
it has changed because of the external pressures. See, now world has become very competitive. Schools want to showcase 100% results, and parents want their child to be the Einsteins, and they want them to achieve the best. So there is pressure on the child, and there's a pressure on the teacher. So there's no time for the teacher to get to know her child in the class. So right from day one, she has to start teaching. Knowledge transfer has to happen right from the first day. There is no time for informal conversation, getting to know. There is no time for at all. There are tests, and with technology, the teacher is not very tech savvy.
Yeah.
Because that came much later, after she finished her education.
Correct.
Children are much more tech savvy.
Correct.
They know things better. Now, if she has to switch on the smart board, sometimes the child goes and helps her.
Correct.
It has happened with me so many times. But I have never hesitated. I will always turn back and look at them and say, hey, come, one of you come and help me, please. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But some, the youngsters, they might feel very inhibited to ask the children. They might think that, okay, what is this student going to think of me if I don't ask? So all these pressures are there, which are not necessary, and it somehow affects. And if the marks do not, the parent-teacher meeting, the marks are not good, how will I express this to the parent? How is the parent going to accept it? How will the parent accept that the child is not doing well?
Correct.
Again, the child is pressurized.
True.
So there's a lot of pressure now, because technology, social media, so much. So much, yeah. True. So much, that trolling, everything is too much. If a child gets 2-3 marks less, there's so much of trolling happening, isn't it?
So, do you think maybe with so much of a generational gap, even in the knowledge of or savviness of towards technology, how can schools or teachers use technology as a tool to facilitate learning better?
See, technology can be used for a lot of clerical work that the teacher does. Marks, report
Yeah.
card, attendance, setting the question paper, conducting online tests.
Yeah.
All that work can reduce, and teacher can have better interpersonal relationship with her students, because the present generation children, or the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they have so much of, there is the overload of social
Information.
media, overload of information. They don't know what is right, what is wrong, what to take and what not to take. There's so much of it that there is that, what to say, technology fatigue they have.
Yeah.
They don't know what is right and what is wrong. So we need to tell that such things can be taken care by the teacher.
Okay.
What is it that they need to look at? See, they have to use technology. It is a given thing now. We have to use technology, but the teacher can tell them to go in which direction for that. Rather than they going into various websites and getting the wrong information,
Yeah.
the teacher herself can tell them that, why don't you look up to this? She has to do the homework first. She needs to know, and then she can
Correct.
talk to
Yeah.
them. So such things, whatever technology can do, which doesn't require a lot of personal interaction, personal thought, can be given to the technology, and the rest the teacher can look into the personal development of child. Now, because the life is very busy, what to say, mechanical, I would say, parents are also working.
Yeah.
Now both the parents are working, and work is a very pressurized work. And when in Bangalore, you have an added pressure of traffic.
There is, yeah.
Isn't it? And every parent who travels to Whitefield, poor parent, comes back only with dead tired
Yeah.
by night, 9 o'clock. And by the time the parent comes back, he or she is tired, and then if she has to sit with the child for
Yeah,
her
it's
homework and all
not
those things,
possible.
not possible.
Yeah.
And then expecting the child to do wonders.
It's a big ask. But even today, I think there's a very high demand for learning English. Everybody wants to learn English. It's a skill that has been advertised even on online courses, short-term courses for working professionals. How necessary would you say it is?
It is necessary, because now world has become a global village.
Global village, yeah.
Because when I was a kid, probably 2 or 3 people in our entire street would have gone abroad for work or studies. But now in every family there are 3 or 4 people who are working
easy.
abroad.
Yeah.
So now, and world has become now
Tight knit.
It's tight knit, and the one language which is a mode of communication with the entire world is English.
English, yeah.
And ours is a multilingual country. So if I'm in Karnataka and then I have to go to some other state, I would bank on English, because I know that the other person to whom I'm speaking will also understand English.
You expect them to understand. Yeah.
See, at least they will be able to understand. Even if they cannot converse thoroughly, they will at least able to understand what we are trying to ask. So English is quite necessary now, and our software, that is, when you look at technology, the language used is English.
Correct.
Technology language is English.
English.
So a lot of things are now in English, and people converse in English. Even if you know that the person to whom you're talking happens to speak the same mother tongue, you still talk in English.
English, yeah, true.
Yes.
Correct.
So it is almost like the child, as soon as the child is born in India, the child grows bilingual.
Bilingual, yes.
The child, from the day the child is born, it is spoken to in English and the mother tongue. So the child automatically becomes bilingual, and
True.
English is no longer a second language. I would say it is also a mother tongue.
Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And until next time, don't stop learning.